So let me start my technical discussion phase with introduction to data structures. So in this particular part, we'll discuss the definition of data structures. We will discuss the classification of data structures, and we'll give some of the examples on this classification and why we need to concentrate on these data structures and how efficiency of the data structures is being calculated. This we will discuss, right? So coming to data structures part, let me start with the famous quote that is given by the Linus Torvalds, who is the inventor of the Linux operating system. He said that I will in fact claim that the difference between a bad programmer and a good programmer is whether he considers his code or whether he considers his data structures more important. So a bad programmer always thinks of doing the things in terms of code only, whereas a good programmer thinks his problem to give solution to his problem in terms of data structure. So this is the difference between a bad programmer and a good programmer. So the point what I'm going to stress here is the data structures, selection of data structures is a very important thing in solving the problems in the computer science world. So that is the importance of data structures. So one should have a very good knowledge on the data structures. One should have very good knowledge on the data structure subject if he wants to be a good programmer. And we have discussed various benefits of data structures, various weightage of data structures in the GATE examination in the previous section, that is part 2. Let me go into the data structures part. So coming to the definition of data structure, a data structure usually refers to an organization of data in the main memory. So the name itself is giving an idea that it is nothing but how you structure the data in the main memory, right? So how do you structure the data means it's nothing but how you are going to insert the elements in the main memory, how you are going to access the elements from the main memory. All these things comes under the definition of data structure. So a data structure, if anybody asks you what a definition of data structure is, it is nothing but how you are going to access, how you are going to store the elements of the data in the mainframe. How simply you can say that how you are going to structure the data in the main memory, that is called as the data structure, right? So coming to the classification of data structures, data structures are classified into two types. The first category is linear data structure and the second category is the non-linear data structure, right? And let us look at these linear data structures and non-linear data structures in detail in the coming slides. This is a linear data structure. So as we have discussed, the linear data structure is nothing but how you structure the elements or how you structure the data in the main memory. So these linear data structures are storing the elements in a sequential fashion. This is very important. So whenever you store the elements or whenever you access the elements one by one or in a sequential fashion, that is considered to be a linear data structure. So if you have seen the arrays concept, you will be storing the elements one after the other and you will be accessing the elements one after the other. So you can treat the arrays as an example for the linear data structure, right? So you traverse the data elements in a sequential fashion. So whenever you access or store the data in a sequential fashion, that is called as a linear data structure. Now coming to the examples of linear data structure. In linear data structure, the first example that we can quote is an array. We know the definition of array. This part we have discussed. You might have learned in the first phase of GATE online courses, that is programming part, C programming part. An array is nothing but a collection of data. An array is nothing but collection of data of similar data type. And This is important. That is stored in the consecutive memory locations, right? And these are referred to by common name. As I told that in arrays, you will store the data and you will access the data elements in a sequential fashion. Therefore, the arrays can be treated as an example of the linear data structures, right? And the second example which I want to give on linear data structures is a stack. So these three topics, that stacks, queues and linked lists, will be discussing in the data structures concept, and this arrays concept you might have learned in the programming part in the first phase, right? And coming to discussion again into the discussion of stacks, a stack is again a linear data structure. That means the accessing and insertion of elements will be in a sequential fashion, and we have to define stack in such a way that how you are going to perform the insertion operation. We know that it is a sequential fashion, but where you are performing and how you are performing the deletion operation, where you are performing the deletion operation. So a stack can be defined as a linear data structure where insertion and deletion takes place at only one end. This is very important point while giving the definition of a stack. So you want to insert an element into the stack, that you have to do it from only one end. You want to delete an element from the stack, that you have to do it from the same end. So whenever insertions and deletions takes place from the same end, then we call that particular data structure as a stack, right? So it is also called as last in first out data structure. This is also important. We call it as LIFO data structure, or else it is also called as philo data structure. But in practice, we will be discussing only the LIFO data structure only, right? We'll call in, it is a convention that we call the stack as a LIFO data structure. LIFO means, the name itself suggests that it is the last inserted element with the will be the first element that is to be outputted. So this is what we are going to discuss, right? In stacks part, while we go into the actual stacks concept, we'll discuss all these things. What is this last inserted and first outputted, with very good examples, so that at that point you'll have some good idea and you will clear all the doubts at that point. But for time being, you remember the definition of a stack. It is a linear data structure where insertions and deletions will take place only at one end, which is called as top of the stack, and it is called as LIFO data structure. And coming to the next example, a queue. A queue is also a linear data structure. It is also a linear data structure where the insertions takes place from one end, which we call it as rear end. This is important. The insertions are always done at the rear end, and deletions takes place at the other end, which we call it as the front end, right? So insertions at rear and deletions at front, and we call this queue as a first in first out linear data structure. First in first out, or FIFO, we can call it as, in short form we can call it as FIFO, or we can call it as LILO also. FIFO stands for first in first out. That means first inserted element will be the first outputted element, and it is also called as LILO, where we call it as last in last out. Last inserted element will be the last outputted element, right? And coming to the linked list part, linked list is a collection of data of same data type. It looks something similar to that of an array, right? It is also a collection of elements of same data type. But the difference between the array and linked list is, the arrays store the elements in the consecutive memory locations, but there is no need for the elements to be stored in the consecutive memory locations for linked list. They may occupy different locations. Okay, for example, if one element may occupy the for example, if one element may occupy some 100th location, the next element may occupy the some 500th location, right? So the storage of elements in the memory is not in a sequential fashion. So this is contradicting to our linear data structure definition, right? Our linear data structure definition says that the element should be stored and accessed in a linear fashion. But here we are saying that the storage of the elements in the linked list is not in a consecutive memory locations. One element will be stored in 100 and another element is stored in the 500. So there is a contradiction in the definition of linked list, where this linked list can be neither a linear data structure nor a nonlinear data structure. But in general, it is a practice that we make or we list out this linked list in the linear data structure only. So don't get confused. A linear linked list is also a category of linear data structures only. So we have seen the definition of a data structure. We have gone through the linear data structure. We have seen the examples like arrays, stacks, queues, and linked lists can be quoted as examples for the linear data structures. Now coming to the next part, that is non-linear data structures. In non-linear data structure, the name itself is suggesting that these are the data structures where the storage and accessing of elements is in a non-linear fashion. That means it is not in a sequential fashion. Whenever you store or access elements in a non-linear fashion, then these data structures are called as non-linear data structures. Here you can see that the data items are not arranged in a sequential structure. So without sequential structure, it is called a non-linear data structure, right? And one more important point that you have to remember is that data items are stored based upon some hierarchical relationships. Not only hierarchical relationship, the data items will be having some relationship, like parent-child relationship or something like that. So there exists some hierarchical relationship, and something like that. There exists some relationship between those data items. So in non-linear data structures, the elements are not in a sequential fashion, but there exists some relationship between these elements. That relationship can be the some hierarchical or parent-child or grandparent-child or ancestors relationship. Like that, we have so many relations. So whenever it is having a hierarchical relationship, we call it as a tree. And if there is other relationships, then we call it as graphs, right? So this we will discuss. Not a problem, right? So the examples of non-linear data structures are, we have only two examples, very straightforward examples, that is trees and graphs. So trees comes under the category of nonlinear data structure, where you represent data in the hierarchical relationship. So whatever elements that are present inside the tree, whatever nodes you have in the tree, those nodes are, they maintain some hierarchical relationship. Hierarchical relationship means level by level. So some nodes will be present in one level and some nodes will be present in some other level. So what happens is they maintain some level by level fashion, level by level relationship. Such level by level relationships are considered as trees, right? And the second example that we can give for the nonlinear data structures is graph. So a graph is also a nonlinear data structure where you represent data that has some relationship between the pair of elements, and this relationship may not be hierarchical in nature. So there exists some relationship, but not the hierarchical relationship. If it is a hierarchical relationship, you simply say it as a tree. So you can observe that there is a link between these trees and graphs. So how these trees and graphs are related to each other, that we'll discuss when you actually discuss the subject matter, right? So we can give some examples of graphs like communication networks or internet. Internet is a good example for these graphs. Like for example, computers, assume that 4 computers are connected like this. So this can be an example of graph. So there are different nodes where they are connected to each other and there exists some relationship among them. That is called as graph. Similarly, airline routes. For example, there is an airport in Vijayawada, there is an airport in Visakhapatnam, there is an airport in Hyderabad. These airports are connected like this, right? So this can be an example of graph. So you come across a lot of examples on graphs in our daily life, but we actually don't know that this is an application of graph, that this is a part of graph. So that is the thing you have to know, and this is all about the examples of nonlinear data structures. And this slide is very important. Here I am going to discuss the need of data structures. Why we are discussing this data structures, and why it is important, you should know, right? So in present day scenario, we have very powerful computers like supercomputers and very highly efficient computers are there. And whenever you make use of these powerful computers, these are being used for complex applications. So for example, if you take a weather forecast system, so the weather forecast system collects a lot of data from the world, and it has to analyze that data. For such situations, what you have to do is you cannot go for a normal PC where you work on your daily basis, right? You have some huge and tons, loads and loads of data, and you have to analyze those data. For that, you need some powerful computers like supercomputers and some mainframe computers like that, right? So in such situations, these computers are capable of dealing with these complex applications, and these complex applications means they demand more calculations. So weather forecasting, they have a lot of data, and you need to analyze that data. As a normal person or a normal human being or a normal PC cannot do that task. Why? Because it involves a lot of intense calculations out there. So in such situations, whenever there's a demand for more calculations, you have to write efficient programs. So in order to deal with these complex applications or typical applications, you have to write very efficient programs, and writing these efficient programs needs well organization of data. This here comes the concept of data. Okay, sir. కనిపిస్తుంది సార్? ఓకే. So this part we have discussed, right, and the concepts of linear data structures and nonlinear data structures. We have some interruption at this particular point, right? So we are discussing the need of the data structures, why this data structures is highly important. So in present scenario, we have powerful computers, and powerful computers require more complex applications, and more complex application means there is a demand for more complex calculations, and for more complex calculations you have to write efficient programs. So for writing efficient programs you have to organize the data in a efficient manner. So this is where it comes the role of data structures. As we have discussed that the definition of data structure is how we organize the data in the main memory, right? So in order to write efficient algorithms you have to organize the data. So selection of well suited data structure is very important. So whenever a task is given to the programmer, then the programmer has to think in terms of selecting a best data structure instead of just start writing the code from the scratch. What he has to do is he has to think of selecting the best data structure. So the selection of best data structure, the choice of data structure is very important, that you can end up in writing an algorithm that can make difference between program running in few seconds as well as many days. That is, so for example, if you are given a task T1 to complete, right, and assume that you have chosen a data structure 1 which is a bad data structure. So this particular data structure is not suitable to solve this task. So you will end up in writing an algorithm where your program will be executed for hours together, or it may go to days also, right? For example, the same task T1 is you want to solve the task T1 using another data structure, and you assume that this DS2 is very good data structure. So you will end up in writing an algorithm, or you will end up in writing an application which runs for very few seconds. So that is the difference of selecting the data structures, and that is the importance of selecting a good data structures, right? So if there is a task T1, you select a bad data structure DS1, the program you write will run for very hours and days together. But if the task T1 is being done with the same data with another data structure DS2, which is a very good data structure for this particular type of application, so you will end up in a good program which will execute for few seconds itself, right? So that is the importance. So I will give one simple example, our real time example of how the selection of data structure influences the thing, right? Influences the efficiency of the algorithm. So let us take an unordered array of records. Unordered array of records means there is no sorting. The records are not sorted. And let me take another example, ordered array of records, where the records are in the sorted manner. Where the records are in the sorted manner, right? For example, if you take your mobile phone, and in the mobile phone you have a contact list. And by default you can observe that this contact list is ordered in nature. That means whenever you add a new record, that will be sorted based on the alphabet. For example, that is alphabetical order, or you can also call it as dictionary order also. And there is another name for it, it is also called as lexicographical order. Okay, right? So whenever you add a contact called Srikanth, this particular Srikanth will be added to your contact list, and by default the mobile phone will sort this Srikanth and put it in the category S. So all the contact details which starts with S will be kept under this bucket, right? So this so if you want to search in this record, if you want to set Srikanth from this ordered array, assume that each and every search operation takes 1 second, right? So in order to search, yes, you will have some 20 seconds. So starting from assume that it is 20 seconds. And within Srikanth, within this yes bucket, assume that Srikanth is some seventh record. So you will have this 20 plus 7, that is 27 seconds. Within 27 seconds, you have searched for the contact Srikanth. So this is the case with the ordered arrays. Let us go with the unordered arrays. Assume that there is a mobile phone and your contact list is there, and but the mobile phone is not so sophisticated that the contact list is not sorted. It is an unsorted array of records. In such case, assume that there are around 1400 records, 1400 contacts for me, right? And within that I have inserted a new contact called Srikanth, and assume that this particular Srikanth is inserted as 1401th record, and you want to search for this Srikanth record. Since there is no bucket concept like ordered array of records, what you have to do is you have to start searching from the first element. You start searching from the first element itself, and up to which point you have to go, you have to search for the second element. If the second element is not matching, go for the third element, which we call it as linear search. This particular linear search concept will be discussed in the design and analysis of algorithms concept. So we are not bothered about how linear search is going to be conducted. So first element, if it matches, okay. Second element, otherwise go to second element. If it matches, okay. Otherwise go to third. Like that, it has to go up to 1401 records. Assume that searching one record takes 1 second. Therefore, here, if you want to search for Srikanth, it almost takes 1401 seconds, right? This is how the selection of a good data structure will vary the efficiency. So as I discussed, that selection of good data structure will end up in an algorithm where you can run it in few seconds, as this is the case of ordered array of records. And if it is a bad data structure, you will end up in an algorithm where it will run for many days, as the case with the unordered array of records. So I think you are clear about the selection of data structures, right? This is very important, and that is the selection of data structure makes a lot of difference. So how you can calculate the efficiency of these data structures? This I want to discuss, and each data structure has different costs and benefits, right? This is very true in our daily life also, that no person is good in all the activities. For example, one person may be good at his sports activities, one person may be good at his music, one person may be good at his studies. So there are different situations, and there are different people who can excel in different situations. The same is the case with the data structures. We have different data structures like stacks, queues, linked lists, trees, graphs, and other things are also there, but no data structure can be claimed as the best data structure for all the situations. This is the important point you need to remember, that one data structure is not good in all the situations. So the data structure, every data structure will have its own benefits, and it will have its own disadvantages. So depending upon the problem, depending upon the situation, or depending upon the problem which you are given, you have to make a wise choice of the data structures, right? And the data structures requires some space to store, and it requires some time to perform the each basic operation. So this is called as space complexity, which is a part of, again, the design and analysis of algorithm. Similarly, the time taken to complete the algorithm, execution of algorithm, is the time complexity. These comes under the subject of design and analysis of algorithms, right? So each problem has constraints on the available space and resources. Each problem has constraints on available space and time. So the space and time is very important, where you can calculate the efficiency of the algorithms. And the problems have some space constraints and time constraints, and the solution has to be taken in an efficient manner such that it solves the problem with these resource constraints. So whenever you are given a problem, it will not be a cakewalk for you to give the solution, right? It may have some space constraints, it may have some time constraints. Based upon those time constraints and space constraints, one has to give the solution. So for giving the best solution, he has to select a good data structure. So the cost of solution is the amount of resources that the solution consumes. So one has to give a solution such that the cost is minimized. Minimizing the cost is very important. So a minimized cost solution is the best solution that one can suggest. Only after careful analysis of the problem only we can know the best data structure of this task. So selecting the data structure is not that much easy task, right? You have to take all these space and time constraints, and you have to give a best solution by considering those resource constraints. Best solution can be given by considering those resource constraints. This is how you have to make a careful analysis of the problem, not that you are given a problem and you give a solution on the fly. This is not a easy task, right? You have to carefully analyze the given problem, and you have to check what are the various constraints and how you can, and you can select the best data structure to get the best solution. So this is how we do. And the last slide which I am going to discuss on this data structures concept is selecting a data structure as follows. So you can choose a data structure in this manner. First of all, you have to analyze the problem to determine the resource constraints. This we have already discussed. And the second point is determine the basic operation that must be supported. If you select a data structure, for example, if you select stack, it supports a few operations like push, pop, is empty, is full, like that. And if you go for a queue data structure, it will support some basic operations such as NQ, DQ, like that. So if you select a data structure, what are the operations that are supported by the data structures? You should take care of that particular point, right? And you have to quantify the resource constraints also for each and every operation. So you have to analyze the problem, and you have to find what are all the constraints, and you have to find what are all the various operations, and what are all the constraints that you need to consider for implementing that each and every operation. This is very important. So based upon these two steps, you make a selection on the data structure that best meets these requirements. And one important point that I want to give as a highlight is this introduction to data structure is something like a initial step to the stacks, queues concepts, like the next coming data structures concept. And you have to know what a data structure is. You have studied the data structure subject, and you should define a data structure, right? A data structure is nothing but how you structure the data in the main memory, or how you access and store the data in the main memory. That is what the data structure defines, right? And we have two classification of data structure, that is linear data structure and non-linear data structure. In linear data structure, the organization of data will be done in a sequential fashion. So examples are arrays, stacks, queues, and linked lists, right? So in the non-linear data structures, the organization of data is not in a sequential fashion. So it will maintain some hierarchical relationship or some other relationship. So the examples of non-linear data structures are trees and graphs.